and posting it to our YouTube channel in the future. So you can go to the website or go to our YouTube page, watch the video, and tell your friends to go check it out if they've missed it. So just one sec, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So welcome to our monthly licensing meeting. Today is June 4th, 2024. It's our retail meeting. Just as a reminder, our meetings are every other month on the first Tuesday at 1 p.m. virtually. This particular meeting is covering retailers, and we will alternate between retailers and processors. So next month, we're going to be doing processors. Okay, so the purpose of this meeting is this is a space for licensees and regulators to discuss industry matters, ongoing processes, potential for changes, legislative updates, and so on. It is an ongoing effort with the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food Industrial Hemp Program to try and get more information out to our retailers and to our processors about the rules and what is expected of them, because we would like to increase compliance, and ultimately we're here to help the industry succeed. And the only way we can do that is if everybody understands the rules and what we're doing. So the very first thing I wanted to talk about today is all of our rules. So currently the program, we run our program based on the statute 441, the Industrial Hemp and Cannabinoid Act. We use that rule to write, or that law to write rules that we use that you guys are all familiar with. They had numbers like R68, 25, and so on. In recent, about 2 weeks ago, the industrial hemp rule numbers were updated to be our own category. They used to be part of plant industries rules. They are 68. Our rules have now been updated to R66. So on our industrial hemp website, I'm working with the UDAF website people. They're going to have it updated before the end of the day. However, if you go to the UDAF, Industrial Hemp and Medical Cannabis Division website, and we scroll down here, we have our industrial hemp laws and rules, a link right here. When we click on this rule, as of right now, these are our old R68 rules. We have everything from research, processing, registration and labeling, testing requirements, retail permits, and so on. This will be updated by the end of the day to our new R66 numbers. That is the main thing that has changed. So if you need to find those rules, there they are. However, I will also, in our email that we send out to everybody, I will send out a link that includes direct links to all of these rules as well. So make sure you know where they are and how you can access them, because this is how we regulate the program. Most of the things that we cite people for are based on direct violations of these rules. And so it is your responsibility as retailers just to make sure that you're following all of these rules that that we have laid out. So let's see here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Oh, my, can't get to the top of my taskbar. Jesus. Oy. Okay, next, let's see, I pulled up my agenda. Okay, next, I would like to invite our product registration team. Devin and Brandy are going to talk to us a little bit about product registration lists. Now, as we all know, or we should know, as retailers, our registered product list is available on our website at any time. All products that are currently available to be sold in the state of Utah that are cannabinoid products are on that list. Just as a reminder, as retailers, just make sure that any products that are sold in your stores need to be on that list. If they are not on the list, they are currently not registered with the department. So we'll go ahead and give Brandy and Devin the reins, and they can talk about some product registration. And then I'll be back to talk a little bit more about allowed cannabinoids in our registered products.
Hey, everybody. So this is Brandy and Devin with the product registration team. So I'm sure that many of you have talked to us. We do the industrial hemp registration. We work with all levels from the processors to the retail stores, any questions that they have, the public. So we'll make sure that we provide our contact information at the end of this, but we wanted to touch today on product registration, since this is the retail group. I wanted to go through and talk to you about the public list and the way that that works. So let me go through this for you. Okay, so we wanted to talk about registered products as it pertains to the public list that's available for you, the process that goes through, a little bit of the history with it. So all cannabinoid products marketed or sold in Utah need to be registered with UDAP. So the product registration department ensures consumer safety and integrity by approving products prior to entering our Utah market. And we don't approve saying this is a great product. We approve saying this has met all of the legal requirements and all of the safety requirements for it to be available to the public in the state of Utah.
Yeah, it's not a product endorsement.
Right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. So the industrial hemp product registration came about because it was approved by the Utah State Legislature. It was outlined in Utah Code 441-104, and it's can be found at this link here. And I'll make sure that this is included, the PDF, in the recap email that we do. It will also be available on YouTube so that you can see it. But industrial hemp products available for sale, they have to be currently registered with the state of Utah. And for the public and for retailers, for everybody to check, it goes onto a public list that's seen. So the way that it works is the industrial hemp, the Utah State Legislature sets forth legal requirements for product registration for industrial hemp to be available to the public. And UDAP has been given the responsibility to ensure that these requirements are met. Those requirements are met through testing and label regulations. So without this product, or without this process, hemp products could not be legally sold in Utah. So just a little side note, it's also outlined in that legislative bill that products are registered for 365 days. So it gives us some really loose guidelines, right? And we follow those with the rules that are come up with to meet those requirements.
Yeah, so the outline in the code, the department has the rights to take that, and that's what we base our rules off of. So we work under that code, and then I'm sure most of you are familiar with our rules. I can't remember what the numbers are. The numbers recently changed. Then we'll touch on that. But yeah, it used to be fiscal year, so it was June to June for when the products were registered. Now it's a year from the registration date, so it's not that reliable. Every product expires at this time, which is why checking the list for the specific dates is really important.
That's a must.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the actual text, how it reads. A cannabinoid product class or cannabinoid product that is not registered with the department may not be distributed in the state. Simple as that. If an industrial hemp product is in the state of Utah, it needs to go through that testing. It needs to go through those requirements in order to be sold or marketed in Utah. And it needs to be registered annually. So once it's registered, once it falls off that list, it needs to go through that exact same registration process to ensure that it's met any kind of updated rules, laws. So it needs to be thoroughly vetted. It's not just a renewal, like, oh, we're putting it back on the list. It's treated as a new product because this industry moves at lightning speed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's why. So the registered product list, this list can be found, and again, I have the link down there. So what it consists of is it's got a registration number. that is not really anything that would pertain to many people, but it is a good number that we are able to talk with the producers, the people who submit it for registration, to see it's the same product. It gives us a history of that product. And you're able to use that in your tracking to make sure it's the same product that you were carrying. And then that can also be verified on the product certificate, which I will show you. That registered product list has the company name, the brand name, the total cannabinoids, the product size, because you can have a product with 2 different sizes, right? You want to make sure
product class.
Yeah, that both are registered. And again, it's registered 365 days. So that registration list is updated in real time. So it changes daily, it changes hourly. We go in and take products off of the list on expiration. We do it the day after expiration. I usually try to do it by 8 a.m. the next day, but that can go a little bit longer, but it is taken off that next day. And then you're also going to find the approved expiration date. So this is what the list looks like. You've got your product registration number, the day it was approved, the day it expires. So it needs to be off of your shelves if the day it expires, the day after it expires. If it is being renewed, it will be, that expiration date will be updated. But if you do not see it on there, it's very black and white, not on the list, not on the shelf.
Yeah.
Right? Because we do update it in real time. So just a side note, this list unfortunately still works way better on your PC or your laptop instead of your cell phone. I know it's really easy to check it on the cell phone, but it's the way that it is on the screen. You're not going to get the full picture. You'll have to scroll over to see the whole thing. So
it's just a bit more user friendly on a laptop currently. We're working on it. Well, not us. The developers are working on it. You'll definitely know as soon as we do when that changes, but for a less frustrating experience.
There we go.
Yeah,
less frustrating. That's a good way to put it. So when a product is registered, the person that registers it will have access to and receive a certificate of registration. So this certificate of registration is mainly so that they are able to show wholesalers, distributors, retailers that this product is able to be distributed in the state of Utah. This is the product. So I would pay very careful attention to the product count. So this says 10 count and 20 count. If you get a 15 count and it's the same product, it is not registered. It needs to be exactly as it appears on here.
Yeah, if the size isn't on the list, then the size isn't registered. The product, like the main product itself might be, but if your size isn't on there, then it hasn't gone through us.
Right. And just for peace of mind, if you do see a certificate, I would also check it against the public list, right? Something may have been updated. There may have been other issues. So just check it against that list. But it's definitely okay to ask your distributors for the certificate.
Yeah.
And keep the certificate on hand when our compliance officers come in. I think it would be really beneficial on both sides to hand them your certificates, right? Just keep it under the counter in a file, scan it into your POS system. If you have a Clover, you can do that. You can scan it in, just open up that folder and show it to them. So there's a lot of different options, but this is definitely useful. And if they haven't given you one, they can give you one. They just need to go onto their account and print it out.
Yeah, it's readily available. If they say they can't give you one, I'd be a little bit wary of purchasing the product, just because it's a link to a document. It's
right.
If it came through us, they should have it at their fingertips.
Right, and they can call us if they can't access it. They can call us and we can get it ready for them, send it to them. It's a very quick, easy process for us. So, if you have a salesman who comes in and they're wanting to provide for your store, ask them if they have the certificate before you talk to them about other stuff. Ask them if they have access to the certificate, if they can send you one, if it's registered, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But along those lines, so as a retailer, you have some responsibilities that you are expected to be met when you decide to carry industrial hemp products in your establishment. So all retail establishments who market and sell industrial hemp products must apply for and maintain a current permit with the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. So this is a separate thing. This is with the licensing department. I just wanted to make sure that I threw that out there for retailers. You need to make sure that you have your retail permit. If you have questions, you can contact the licensing department. Their email and their phone number is on our main website. They are very easy to work with, quick. They will be able to help you on things, and you just need to make sure that you have that proper licensing in order to sell. Because if you don't have that, regardless of what you have in your store registered, it's not going to.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have that license. So it's unlawful for any person to distribute, sell, or market cannabinoid product that's not registered with the department, and you will get a citation. You will get a citation if they walk into your store and it is not on the list. Again, very black and white.
Yeah. I mean, of course, everything's usually situational. If you do have the product pulled off the shelf on hold because you did notice it wasn't, you won't get cited for that.
Right.
It's just if it's out on the shelves and if it's available for purchase and it's on the list.
There we go.
An automatic citation and it'll be put on hold. So
yeah, very important to check that list. So hemp retailer responsibilities. You need to make sure that if you decide to have hemp products, distribute, market hemp products in your store, you need to make sure that you, one, have that hemp retail license that we discussed. You need to check the registration list and you need to check it often. Check it daily. Take a screenshot of it if you need to, and just check against your stock. Make sure that your management has access to it and that they're aware of the process of checking the list. So UDAP will only remove a listing earlier than the expiration date if there's outlying circumstances, right? So if there's a safety issue, something like that. And we've had some comments in the past on why we haven't contacted the retailers when something like that happens. And we do. Actually, we send out, the management here will send out a licensee-wide email explaining the situation. You have this long to take it off the shelves, and you have a little bit more experience with that than I do. Is there anything you want to add with that?
Not so much. Usually once an actual decision has been made, we inform the licensees as soon as we can. It's definitely now, it's probably the same email list that the notification for this meeting goes out to. It'll probably come from the product registration email, but we do send out a notice saying that a product has been recalled, that most likely the manufacturer will be reaching out to you. If they don't, reach out to them, remediate any available product you still have. So we do send out a notification. But
and that's only for if it comes off the list early.
Yeah, which is very rarely.
Right. If it comes off the list just on the expiration date, no, we don't reach out. And, I had to send over 600 emails for this. And, sometimes we can have 4 or 5 products drop off of a list in a day. So it is the retailer's responsibility to check that list. When I sent these emails for this, I had some bounce back, some that were blocked, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that I said to have an active email. If we do reach out and there's situations and it bounces back, that's all we can do, right? We can't try to personally reach out on telephone to 600 people for just this one thing. So just make sure that you have active emails. If it changes, call in and let us know. Send us an email and let us know.
Most of you should have an Ames account now, which actually all of you should, because that's how we pull your email now. So again, if any of that changes, it's just an account update. It's pretty easy to do. So hopefully that kind of gets mitigated in the future.
But yeah, I think so. So I also wanted to say that it's okay to hold the distributors responsible to keep the products registered. If you see that a product is coming up for sale or coming up upon expiration, reach out to your distributor, reach out to the wholesale places or warehouses here in Utah, reach out to the websites that you bought it from and say, hey, this is going to fall off the list in a month and I have 20 bottles of tincture. Are you renewing it? What's going on with it? The people who register the products, they get a 60-day and a 30-day notice. And we are available to help. They can just reach out to us via telephone, via email. So they know that it's coming up upon expiration. So it's okay to call them and say what's going on with it, right? Because that's your money sitting on the shelf. I'm a former small business owner. I understand that is literally your money sitting in a pile on your shelf. So it's okay to say, hey, what's going on with this, to reach out to them. And I would also just suggest keep current of like all the laws, rules, regulations. That's why we hold these forums once a month. Everything is updated on the website. We're making concerted effort to make sure that we email any kind of updates. So again, just keep your email active. So retailers really hold a unique responsibility in our market, right? They're the last line of defense to make sure that the products that are safe reach our consumer. Yeah. So we can do everything we can do, but if retailers carry products that aren't registered, that could possibly have mold in them, things like that, because they haven't been vetted, you're passing that on to your neighbors, to your family members in the state of Utah. So you really do hold a unique responsibility in this whole program. Yeah. Okay. Almost done. So kind of the last thing, I just wanted to give a few tips for retailers. So we need to keep an eye on that list, right? It's ultimately the retailer's responsibility to ensure that the hemp products they carry are legally registered with the state before they sell them. Regardless of everything else, check the list, put it on your shelf. Not on the list, pull it off your shelf, right? So, okay, keep a spreadsheet with your active products. Like I said, you can use the Clover system. I know that there's some apps that are in there. If you use that will pop up on your POS that tells you when that's about to fall off the expiration date. You can put your own notes with alarms, things like that. When you buy your products, look at the expiration date. You go to one of the wholesale warehouses and you're like, oh, I think that my customers would like this. Look at the expiration date and say, oh, it possibly goes off of the list in 2 weeks. I might not want to buy the full amount, or I might want to ask, hey, is this being renewed? Do you know if it's being renewed? Do we know the process? And it's okay to ask your distributor how they're going to handle products when it does fall off the list. Hey, if I buy 20 of these, are you going to buy them back if it's not renewed? If they say no, I personally would think, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Then it's okay to email them that. You control the market. You handle how that happens. It's okay to make those deals. So remember, you're in charge of the market. If it's going to fall off the list, just keep track of it. And it's okay to say, you're going to buy these back? Yeah. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. So, okay. So this is our contact information. We will have this included in the email. Like I said, this will be online. You can reach us. Those are our individual numbers. You can reach us via email. We will usually email you back within that day if we're able to. Sometimes we get swamped, so a little bit of patience, but we love input. So anything that we can help you with, we are here strictly to make sure that we're able to help you to see these products succeed, to see your store succeed. So
yeah, anything we can do to make the process easier for both of us.
Yeah.
Well, both of us.
Yes. Not
everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Brandy and Devin, for going over our product registration. So the next thing I wanted to talk about specifically was about the cannabinoids that are allowed in our products. We have had a lot of questions about this recently. I'm going to go ahead and share a diagram here. One sec. So we have had a lot of questions about what kind of products or what kind of cannabinoids are allowed in our products. And we've had a lot of products that have been denied registration based on cannabinoids that are tested or that are detected in the tests at our lab. And so I'm going to take a few minutes and go over this. Now, As a retailer, generally speaking, you guys are not registering products, but some of you might be registering products, so this may be apply. But this can also apply for knowing what basically is allowed in your products as well. And also keep in mind that as a retailer, you have to do your best, or you have to make sure that you're not selling products to anybody who is under 21. Any products have THC or THC analogs in them, so this is also relevant to you as well. Okay. So first of all, what cannabinoids are allowed in products? So as you can see here, I've divided this up. We're going to put this on our website. We're going to send it out to everybody as well. But I've divided this up into traffic lights of cannabinoids, essentially. So our first category right here, I'm going to zoom in right here so you guys can see specifically what I'm talking. Okay, so this first group here is cannabinoids that are okay. So if they're in the green circle, you guys can put them into your products. There's no requirements or no limits on these products specifically. These are listed in our rule. They're also listed in the statute, state law 441 10222B. The reference is up here. Now, before I go into this, I just want to kind of step back one step. So we get a lot of pushback from people about what is a THC analog and what is not a THC analog. And because this industry is not something that is regulated on the federal government level, specifically, it is a Schedule I substance on the federal level. States are free to be able to choose to regulate these products themselves or not regulate them. And Utah is a state that has chose to regulate these products. So when they chose to regulate these products, they had to define what is allowed in the products and what was not. And the way the state defined what a THC analog is it is a substance that is structurally or pharmacologically substantially similar to or is represented to being similar to delta-9 THC. What that means is that if a molecule is pharmacologically, meaning it acts the same on a pharmacological level or similar, it is structurally similar, or it's represented to being similar to delta-9, it is considered a THC analog. The bottom line is what that means is all cannabinoids, as per state law, are considered THC analogs because all all cannabinoids are structurally similar to each other. The state did this by design specifically because they want to be able to make sure that cannabinoids that they're not cool with are not allowed in high quantities in products. So that part of the law was specifically defined in 441 10222A. And it says, like I said, structurally is the key word here, structurally similar to delta-9 THC. In the B part of that rule over here, the state calls out these 10 compounds, CBC, CBL, CBD, CBDV, CBE, CBG, CBGV, CBN, CBV, and THCV. Those 10 compounds in the law, it says that THC analogs do not include the following substances or naturally occurring acid forms of the following substances, and those are those 10. This tells us that the state specifically, that is their intention on THC analogs because they excluded 10 compounds, 10 cannabinoid compounds from that list to carve out and said, as per state law, we do not consider these 10 as THC analogs. That means they can be in products in any amount. So if we jump back over to the yellow circle, these are cannabinoids that are not part of that list of 10. This is the use caution if you're choosing to put these compounds in your products. So in the state of Utah, all THC analogs and THC have to be in a combined total of less than 0.3% by dry weight. We all know this. In Utah, we consider all the THC analogs. Okay, so that is delta-9 THC, delta-8 THC, THCA times 0.877, and then all cannabinoids that are not specifically called out in this list here. So what has changed is not our list of accepted cannabinoids. So the big one we've talked about recently has been CBT or CBTC. It's not that we chose to ban CBT or CBTC. It's that state law says that any THC analog, and by definition, CBTC and CBT, because they're not part of that 10, and this is the legal definition, it has nothing to do with psychoactive nature, it has nothing to do with chemistry, industry, convention. It is defined purely in state law. And state law, by definition, CBT and CBTC are in fact THC analogs because they are structurally or substantially similar to THC, and they are not excluded in that list of 10. Now, this isn't just CBTC. This is all cannabinoids. So my advice to you is if you are putting cannabinoids in your products that are not one of those 10 that are called out as being allowed in any amounts, make sure that combined totals of all of those cannabinoids that we consider THC analogs is below 0.3%. Otherwise, if our lab detects it, your product will not be allowed to be registered. So what has changed is not the cannabinoids as much as we required cannabinoid profiles to be done at our lab, and our lab is just getting better and better at testing for compounds. CBTC is the one right now, but I guarantee you there's going to be more in the future. So just because we can't detect it right now doesn't mean it's okay to put in your products. And if you put something in that we might not like, might be new. I mean, I've been here for 2.5 years and I couldn't even count the number of new THC analogs that come along that get put in products. And if we start detecting it there, it's a lot more costly for you to have to go back, recall it out of your products, and or reformulate later when it comes time to registration because we don't allow it in your products. So yellow means caution. You can go ahead and put it in your products, but make sure it's below the 0.3%. Okay, then the last category here is the banned list. Okay, our banned list, the state law also gives the department the authority associated. We have to, upon the recommendation of a health authority, we can ban specific substances from products. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. The three that I have listed right here are the 3 products that we currently have not allowed in quite some time, and that is HHC, THCP, and THCO acetate. Those will not be allowed in any circumstances in the products. Now, I'd like to put in a couple notes here. As number one, it is going to be our practice to update the banned list once a year. We're not going to specifically add products in mid-registration cycle to screw everybody up. The exception would be is if something truly dangerous comes along and we receive a recommendation for the health department that says this new cannabinoid is coming along and it's making a lot of people sick. In those certain circumstances, because of a public safety issue, we may choose to act immediately. And if we did so, we'd make sure to notify everybody of that change. But generally speaking, we're going to be updating the banned cannabinoid list once a year after the legislative session. We may pull products off of it if things change. We may add products. We're kind of allowed to flex that. What we cannot do without a change in legislation is add products to this category of 10 allowed cannabinoids. That can only change through the state law, which means the legislators have to change that. So if you guys are people who make products or you're retailers and you think that CBT should be part of that list, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your legislators because they're the ones, your representatives and so on, because the legislators are the ones who decide that list of what's allowed. And if they do not put something that is on, if they do not put a compound on that list in law, the only way I can allow it in a product is in this category. That's what's allowed for CBTC. We didn't ban it. We are actually, in fact, allowing it, but because it's not in this list of 10, I can only include it over here. Like I said, just keep in mind that is going to be the same for any cannabinoids. And as we get better, the lab is learning to detect more and more. Okay. Once again, the banned list will be updated once a year. And if there's any questions about or trying to get any of these cannabinoids updated, like I said, I strongly encourage you to reach out to your legislators. Now, when we register products, we go by this. If we tell you a product cannot be registered because it's over 0.3% and it's something like CBTC, I understand where you're coming from, but it is all based on the state law, and we just have to follow it just the same as you guys do. So hopefully this diagram will help kind of clear up a little bit of what's allowed in products and what is not allowed in products. I'm going to be posting this on our website. We'll also send out this as well in our follow-up email. And then let's see. The only other thing I wanted to discuss, I wanted to recently touch on a couple questions. Brandy and Devin did address it a little bit, and it has to do with notification to retailers of products. So in the entire time that I've been at this job, we've probably removed less than 10 products off of the registered product list for something besides the product expiring. There's been only a few times, and every time we've done it, we have notified retailers ahead of time and given them an opportunity. So if you did not get an email or something from us, it means either one, if you're not a registered retailer, you wouldn't get an email from us. And if we don't have a current email in the system, you wouldn't get an email from us. But we notify every retailer as best as we can when we remove a product for a list off the list for cause. Other than that, Brandy is right that the list does update all the time, but that's because products are on a rolling 365 expiration, meaning that when it expires, it drops off the list. So my advice to you is each time you bring in a new product, check the list and see when that product expires. And then just kind of keep an eye on it here and there to make sure that nothing has fallen off the list, but it should not unless we notify you. But I would also like to back up. We cite retailers for selling unregistered products, but we also cite manufacturers for distributing unregistered products as well. And I would strongly encourage all of you that if the manufacturers cannot prove to you that their products are registered and that they're willing to play game or play ball in the state of Utah with their registered products, you as retailers have all the power here. Don't sell them. Don't put yourself in a potentially dangerous or a difficult situation by having to explain a citation because you said, I just sold what somebody else sold to me. If the product is not registered, do not sell it. Like, period. This is not, as I mentioned in our processor meeting, but these are not set them and forget them products. This is, you want to think about this more like a similar analogy would be a car registration. The registration is not an allowance to sell that product forever. It is, you are allowed to sell, anybody in the state of Utah is allowed to sell that product for a period of 1 year. That is by design because we know that the rules are going to change because the industry is constantly changing and we have to be allowed to make changes as we learn more about safety and cannabinoids that are out there and so on. So what has to happen is, just like your car, your product registration has to be renewed every year. So you have to think about it like that. It is not, I would not put a whole bunch of products out there if I'm not going to be able to sell them throughout the year, because like I said, it is a registration that just allows it to be sold in the state of Utah for that 1 year period. So, that we're going to wrap up just a few minutes earlier, about 15 minutes earlier than we normally do. So I'm going to close out here just as some future announcements. Our processor licensing meeting is going to be next month, the same, the same day. This is going to be June 2nd of 2024. And then the following meeting in August, on August 6th, will be in the next retail meeting. Please remember to submit any questions you have for the Google form. For this, we've received very few questions and a lot of blank responses. So if you have questions, please submit them. And then watch for the upload. We're going to be uploading this on YouTube. We'll send a follow-up email next week to let everybody, to remind everybody about what we talked about. Tell your friends, go check out the video on YouTube. Anybody who's registered or selling products, make sure you have your retail permit. It's only $50 per year. Please make sure you're only selling registered products. And we really do want all of you to succeed. And please just reach out to us and let us know if there's anything that we can do to further help. Unless there's anything else that Brandy or Devin want to add, I think we're going to call it there, guys. So, thank you once again for attending, and watch for our updated video here coming out really soon. Thanks for being part of the industry, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.